Hey gamers, Aksu here. Are you done with Hagga Basin? You've watched my deep desert overview to learn about the zone itself, and now you're looking for activities and direction to get started on your own deep desert progression? This video is for you. In this video, I'll discuss a number of activities all players, both PvE and PvP, can undertake right away. Before the activities though, here's what I recommend for gearing up to get started. First and foremost, you're going to need an ornithopter. You can't make your way to the deep desert without one. When getting started, I think it's fine to have a Mark IV Scout, though I do recommend at some point upgrading the wings and the engine to Mark V. With upgrades to just the wings and engine, you'll be able to maintain higher speed when flying and gliding. On your Scout, I highly suggest you install both storage and scanner modules. Most of the time, you're really going to need the storage space, so I think it's just a best practice to learn to fly without the booster module. When it comes to armor and weapons, as you're getting started, if you limit your combat missions to the A-row, testing stations and large crash sites will feel like normal progression from Hagga Basin. Whatever gearing strategies you used in Hagga Basin will work here as well. But do be careful, as all mobs past the A-row are a lot more challenging and probably best to avoid while getting started. For any standard crafted items, your best start will be equipping duraluminum tier items, mercenary gear, and adept weapons. And then a still suit remains a great general purpose item while gathering and harvesting. For tools, more than ever, while traveling in the deep desert, you'll always want your vehicle backup tool, a good welding tool, welding wire, and a good amount of vehicle fuel cells. The deep desert is really very large. You're still going to want to glide in vulture mode as much as possible to save both fuel and durability on your wings. However, it's wise to have more vehicle fuel cells on hand than you've ever needed in Hagga Basin. I also recommend having a compactor at all times, and this may be an item that you're not used to having in your loadout or in your backpack. You're going to want that compactor because anytime you have a chance to harvest spice, well, it's only the most valuable substance in the universe. Tier 6 harvesting requires a Mark V cutteray, but we will need to acquire some components before we can craft one. With that background and preparation, here's how I would get started. Start on the A-row and get comfortable with the safest part of the deep desert. In my opinion, the number one top priority is acquiring thermoelectric coolers, and these are easily and safely found in the testing stations on the A-row. After you've acquired thermoelectric coolers, your second priority should be crafting your Mark V cutteray. With this new cutteray, you're now equipped to harvest both Titanium and Stravidium. It wasn't that long ago that both were fairly rare resources when avoiding the northern PvP desert. However, with the recent changes, it's now trivial to acquire both materials, including large quantities on the shield wall or A-row that can safely be harvested with a buggy once you've made the appropriate upgrades. It's that time, guys. Please help support the channel by subscribing. You can also leave a like or comment, which really does help with the algorithm. And if you happen to be interested in live gameplay, I do stream weekly on Twitch, and I really do appreciate your support. Thank you so much, guys. Now that you're comfortable with the A-row, let's move out onto the deep desert sands. And to avoid PvP, we'll limit our travel to the southern half of the map. Even half of the deep desert is still a huge area to explore. One of the first activities you can do on the deep desert is treasure hunting. And for this, you'll need a compactor as well as the scanner module on your Scout. While gliding at lower altitude, simply use your ornithopter scanner. What you're looking for is markers on the open sand. By using your compactor at that location, you'll uncover a treasure box. And with practice, you'll be able to visually track that marked location and land close so that you can easily find the treasure. You can quickly acquire a number of tier 6 crafting components, and I personally find this activity to be quite relaxing. Because you're flying and gliding lower to the ground, be sure to avoid those patrolling sandworms. Remember that in a recent update, any contact with any part of a sandworm will instantly kill you and destroy your vehicle. While you're gliding around and scanning for treasure, it's always good to stay on the lookout for small crashed ships or spice fields. Those small crashed ships are also a good source of components. Occasionally, they even include good amounts of spice sand, and some of the best treasure is tier 6 item blueprints. Using your cutteray, you'll find the ship has 3 different hatches that can be scanned and then cut open. Depending on how the ship is oriented on the sand, some of the side hatches may be difficult to scan and open, so you're not going to get them all. My standard process in the PvE portion of the desert is to open one side panel and climb to the top and open that. Then I return to my ornithopter and use it to fly over to the other side before opening the final panel. One of the biggest things to learn about these crashed ships is managing your inventory. Before you land, make sure that you've freed up your backpack. Move heavy items and large stacks into your vehicle storage. When salvaging these ships, you can simply loot a ton of items, and the time pressure only ramps up when you're fighting your inventory that's full. When harvesting spice sand in the PvE areas, the only major risk is sandworms. By simply moving around on the sand, and the frequent use of your compactor tool creates vibrations that attract those sandworms. One strategy I use while harvesting is to periodically get into my ornithopter and hover off of the ground. I find that this resets the sandworm aggro, and by doing this while I'm alone on the spice field, I'm able to harvest for long periods of time without attracting any sandworms. So through those ARO testing stations, treasure hunting, salvaging crashed ships, and harvesting titanium, stravidium, and spice sand, you're now familiar with many of the main activities of the deep desert. In the next video, I'll discuss more advanced topics, such as next step goals for base building, refining operations, and of course, moving out of the deep desert ahead of the Coriolis storm. I hope you found this to be helpful. Thanks for watching, and thank you for your support. See you next time.